Good afternoon, everybody. This is Holloway with the National Weather Service with Alaska statewide weather for December 15th, 2020. We have a couple options for you that I'd like to tell you about to help you further refine your weather search and look into the watch warnings and advisories you may see on the broadcast. A 1-800 number takes you through a menu system, and weather.gov/Alaska on the web page, and again is designed to help you get to the information that you want. Lastly, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the broadcast, please email us at the email listed at the bottom of the screen there. For hazardous weather, we have some advisories out for the Northwest Coast. Winter weather advisory in effect until 3 p.m. on Wednesday, and that's basically for blowing and drifting snow and reducing visibilities, so watch for that up there. And again, please look these watches and advisories up before you head outside. We also have a watch out. It hasn't been listed yet, but I just talked to the office. They're going to be issuing a watch for a large portion of the Northeast Gulf Coast and the northern part of the Panhandle and the coastal mountains. And this is again a winter weather watch, and that basically starts for Thursday into Friday. Taking a look at the satellite information, you can pick out several low pressure systems in the satellite imagery. One there near Unalaska, and another one just north of AKwx, spinning out there in the Bering Aleutians and in the Gulf there, spreading some light snow showers across the south central area and southeast interior and down through the Panhandle, with the possibility of some light rain at the lower elevations along the coastal areas. Also, we had some blowing and drifting snow along the North Slope, and that shows up on today's weather map. And there's the low pressure systems in the Aleutians/southern Bering with a 981 millibar low with an occluder front, moderate to light rainfall around that system with mixed precipitation in the Bering, scattered precipitation through the Bering, and into southwest Alaska with another weak low, nearly stationary 996 millibar low there with snow showers through the YK Delta into Norton Sound region and over into the Seward Peninsula. Also, once again, blowing and drifting snow along the North Slope, northeast or northwest coast. And lastly, there's the other low near the Panhandle, 977 millibar low with a nearly stationary occluder front with light to moderate rain in some areas of the southern Panhandle. For tonight's weather, that low pressure system near the Aleutian now just weak trough with a couple lows analyzed, 986 millibar low just north of the eastern Aleutians. There's the next occluder front low pressure system approaching the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula, 981 millibar low on the occluder front, and a weakening system out in the Gulf, 993 or 989 millibar low there. And again, some lingering snow and rain showers in the southern end of the Panhandle, and snow showers across south central and into the interior and down into the YK Delta and Norton Sound region, with blowing and drifting snow across the portions of the upper Yukon and North Slope. And Wednesday afternoon, that main feature is going to be the 978 millibar low now that will be approaching the Alaska Peninsula with 978 millibar low on occluder front and a weakening boundary near the central Panhandle into the northern Gulf, anchored by a 994 millibar low, and a weak trough just south of the Panhandle, 995 millibar low there. Fog and freezing fog along the North Slope again for Wednesday, and a smattering of low pressure systems out in the Aleutians/Berings with some mixed precipitation, rain, and snow out there. For Thursday's weather, again, smattering of low pressure systems remain in the Bering Aleutian area with scattered snow showers, mixed precipitation out that way. But the main feature will be the low pressure system that moves into the Gulf, 973 millibar low there on the occluder front. Moderate to heavy rainfall, especially over the southern end of the Panhandle. And this is the watch this is in response to the watch. Is a response to this low pressure system occluder front that will be approaching the Panhandle, with again light to moderate rainfall and pretty good snowfall throughout much of the Panhandle. that snowfall continues through the Cook Inlet region and North Gulf Coast and down into the Bristol Bay region with strong pressure gradients through the interior. The low temperatures Wednesday morning with our new graphics for areas in the Gulf region. For the Panhandle, Ketchikan 39, 36 in Sitka, 25 in Juneau, 21 in Haines, 28 in Yakutat, 36 in Middleton, Cordova area, and then 27 in Seward, 16 in Kenai, 24 in Homer, 28 in Kodiak, 29 in Chignik, and then 21 in King Salmon, 18 in Dillingham, 22 in Iliamna, and 16 Talkeetna, and one more Anchorage 21. For low temperatures for the North Slope Wednesday morning, Kaktovik -10, -8 at Dead Horse, -5 at Ukqiavik, Point Hope -1, and then Anaktuvik Pass -17, -29 in Adigan, or Arctic Village, and then -12 at Bettles, -17 in Fort Yukon, -23 in Eagle, -7 in Tanana, 0 in Galena, -7 in Fairbanks, -4 in McKinley Park, and then -6 in Northway, and out there on the Seward Peninsula, Nome at 9, 21 Savunga, and 15 in Emonic. For low temperatures for the Southwest and Aleutians, looking at Aniak 14, Bethel 14, Aniak 14 as well, 0 at McGrath, 29 in Chignik, 33 in Cold Bay, 34 in Dutch Harbor, 34 in Shemya, and 35 in St. Paul. For high temperatures Wednesday afternoon, looking at, again, back down to the Gulf region, Panhandle, 41 in Ketchikan, 38 in Sitka, 27 in Juneau, 25 in Haines, 29 in Yakutat, 25 in Valdez, 23 in Anchorage, 23 in Kenai, 29 in Homer, 27 in Seward, 37 in Kodiak, 38 in Chignik, 28 in King Salmon, 24 in Dillingham, 25 in Iliamna, 20 in Lime Village, and 21 up there in Talkeetna. For the North Slope, high temperatures Wednesday afternoon, -6 in Kaktovik, Dead Horse -5, Ukqiavik -3, 2 in Point Hope, 18 in Arctic Village, -12 in Anaktuvik Pass, -12 in Fort Yukon, -17 in Eagle, -4 in Bettles, -3 in Tanana, 3 in Galena, 13 in Nome out there in the Seward Peninsula, 25 in Savunga, and then 2 in McGrath, and 10 in Grayling. For high temperatures Wednesday for the Southwest region, Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, looking at 21 in Bethel, 17 in Aniak, 2 in McGrath, Emonic, 17, 28 in King Salmon, 37 in Cold Bay, 38 in Dutch Harbor, and way out there in Shemya with 37. And for low temperatures Thursday morning, looking at 35 for Ketchikan, 31 in Sitka, 24 in Juneau, 13 in Anchorage, 4 in Talkeetna, 32 in Kodiak, 23 in King Salmon. And then for the low temperatures Thursday morning, Kaktovik 17 below, 15 below in Dead Horse, Ukqiavik -12, -7 in Point Hope, getting a little bit chilly throughout the region, -23 in Fort Yukon, -37 at Eagle, and then -21 in Fairbanks and -1 in Nome. And finishing up here for the Southwest region, low temperatures Thursday morning, 0 in Aniak, 4 in Bethel, 16 in Dillingham, 34 in Cold Bay, 33 in Dutch Harbor, 35 in Shemya, and 33 in St. Paul.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hi, I'm Joel Curtis, meteorologist with your aviation weather. Starting out for Wednesday morning with our flying weather, extensive IFR along the north slope, across the Bering Sea into Bristol Bay, across Kodiak Island, and northern Cook Inlet into Prince William Sound, and the southern part of the Panhandle. Looking into Wednesday afternoon, persistent IFR along the North Slope coast, all the way from Nunivak Island into Bristol Bay and the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, northeast Gulf Coast, and on into the Panhandle. For Thursday morning, that very persistent IFR along the North Slope coast, extensive IFR over the Bering Sea, including St. Lawrence Island, southwest Alaska, Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, and some in the Chugach Mountains, plus we have most of the Panhandle under IFR conditions. And on Thursday afternoon, persistent IFR along the North Slope, across the Bering Sea, across Kodiak Island, southern Kenai Peninsula, and into southeast Alaska, almost all covered by IFR. Past conditions on Wednesday: Anaktuvik, VFR, Adigan, VFR, Lake Clark, IFR becoming VFR, Merrill, IFR becoming VFR, Rainy, marginal VFR becoming VFR, Windy Pass, IFR becoming VFR, Isabel, IFR improving to marginal VFR, Mentasta Pass, IFR all day on Wednesday, Tanita Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR, Portage Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR, and over in southeast, Chilkoot and White Pass, marginal VFR deteriorating to IFR conditions. Our freezing levels on Wednesday morning at the surface for almost all of the state, and a little bit of 2,000 foot freezing level down in Prince of Wales Island and down through Dixon Entrance. Our icing forecast for Wednesday, extensive area of low-level icing, isolated moderate for most of the main part of the state and out into the Bering Sea. We do have a couple of areas of considerable moderate, with the southern Panhandle and Dixon Entrance being below 10,000 feet. We also have an area out in the Gulf below 4,000 feet, and south of Nunivak Island below 8,000 feet. And for our jet stream, we have easterlies at 70 knots through the Chukchi Sea, westerlies at 50 across southwest Alaska going out through Kennedy Entrance, southwest 45 around Yakutat, westerlies at 50 at the southern part of the Panhandle plus Dixon Entrance, and 75 to 95 knots westerlies over the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. Our 9,000 foot winds on Wednesday, a band of 50 knots of easterlies over the north slope, but it rapidly decreases down to 20 as you get further south. 25 knots through Kennedy Entrance and Sitkinak Island, 40 to 45 knots over the Alaska Peninsula, 20 knots for the southern Panhandle, but as you get down to Dixon Entrance, about 45 knots or so. And our 3,000 foot winds, pretty strong there at 3,000 feet, 55 to 65 along the north slope, 45 to 40 and up to 50 around Kotzebue Sound from the Alaska Range, 25 knots over the Bering Sea near St. Paul. For our Alaska Peninsula, 30 knots, and out into the Gulf, 35 to 40 knots, 40 knots over the very southernmost part of the Panhandle. And for our turbulence on Wednesday, we have one area of low-level wind shear and isolated severe near Point Hope. A good portion of the northern sections of Alaska is considerable moderate below 6,000 feet. Also, we have below 3,000 feet for St. Lawrence and out into the far western Aleutians, and a couple of areas of isolated moderate to considerable moderate over the Panhandle. That's your aviation forecast, and thanks for
Just as the sun is part of weather on Earth, it also affects weather in space. The sun creates solar wind by steadily releasing a flow of plasma particles in all directions around it. Sometimes the sun gives off a flash of light and X-rays. This is known as a solar flare. When massive bursts of particles explode into space, we call it a coronal mass ejection, or CME. When a CME is directed toward Earth, it hits the magnetosphere, the magnetic field around our planet that protects us. If the storm is large, we may even get to enjoy a light display in the sky called the auroras. In space, satellites may be damaged, and astronauts should take cover. On Earth, people do not feel any physical effects. We may lose electricity in some areas, polar flights may be rerouted, and satellite services may be disrupted. While these situations aren't ideal, they are rare and fixable. This is why we will continue to study the Sun and its interactions with Earth and the solar system.
Longing for more space, open skies, and exotic travel? Then look up, about 30 to 600 miles straight up, at the ionosphere, Earth's interface to space. Nestled far above the clouds but below outer space, this little understood destination invites you to explore its many features. Experience both the weather from Earth and the weather from space. Marvel at the ballet of radio waves and navigation signals, like GPS, leaping through this particle paradise. Sit back, relax, and take in the aurora, some satellites, and the International Space Station as they sail by. And you'll want your camera handy for one of the region's signature features, bright and colorful air glow. This daily show is made possible by the ionosphere's own swarming charged particles, because that's what the ionosphere is. It's all charged particles. During the day, enjoy the sea of particles, freshly energized by the sun. As the sun sets, this particle party relaxes and the air glow thins. Our quieter nightlife lets you gaze into clearer skies. The ionosphere is in constant motion, an amazing effect of space weather. Don't miss when solar storms rain down. The storm separates the particles even more, making this colorful region delightfully more dense in some places and stunningly sparse in others. And don't forget about storms from Earth below. Your weather from back home also stirs up this one-of-a-kind destination. Experience the unique beauty of every season, as changes in Earth's atmosphere, daily and annually, can create pressure waves, changing the ionosphere's shape and density. Venture to the equator, where our particles are packed in lush and thick. Cruise along a magnetic field line and see how the ionosphere's charged material also interacts with Earth's own magnetic field. Don't miss the superhighway of particles zipping out to space and back down to the planet. This unpredictable parade of charged particles can help you unplug and unwind. This is because the crowd of particles can garble the radio and satellite communications from home. The ionosphere welcomes you to discover more about this little-known region. After all, once you've explored this interface to space, who knows how much farther you'll be able to go.
When a star, bigger and more massive than the Sun, runs out of fuel at the end of its life, its core collapses while the outer layers are blown off in a supernova explosion. What's left behind depends on the star's original mass. A star roughly 10 to 20 times our Sun leaves behind a neutron star. A more massive star becomes a black hole. Unlike black holes, neutron stars are directly observable, usually as pulsars, the lighthouses of the cosmos. Discovered 50 years ago, they are the densest observable objects in the universe. Neutron stars compress up to twice the sun's mass into a city-sized sphere. Matter is packed so tightly that a teaspoon of neutron star interior would weigh more than 1 billion tons on Earth. Still, the nature of the ultra-dense matter in the cores of neutron stars is unknown. Because neutron stars pack so much mass into such a tiny volume, they produce gravity strong enough to bend the light they emit, distorting their appearance in a way that enables the mass and size of the star to be measured. Scientists cannot reproduce the extreme conditions in and around neutron stars on Earth. They must look into the galaxy to answer decades-old questions about extreme matter and gravity. NASA's Neutron Star Interior Composition Explorer mission, or NISA, will make X-ray observations of neutron stars from its perch on the International Space Station. It will give astronomers more insight into these mysterious objects, helping determine what is under their surface. A multi-purpose mission, NISA includes a technology demonstration called Sextant. It will analyze NISA's observations to validate the use of rapidly rotating neutron stars as navigation beacons for travel in deep space throughout the solar system and beyond.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Taking a look at the marine forecast, starting with the ice edge. Ice is filling in nicely in the Chukchi Sea. Also, we're seeing some developments in the Bering Sea, Bering Strait area, and down through the western coast, through much of the western coast, and even into the Cook Inlet region. And we are expecting some very cold temperatures here over the next 7 days, so ice growth will continue. Taking a look at the marine forecast for southeast on Wednesday, inside waters, winds generally from the variable direction, 15 to 20, seas as high as 8 feet. Outside waters, winds generally from the west at 20 to 25, seas as high as 16 feet. And for Thursday, inside waters, winds variable direction again, 20 to 40, with seas as high as 8 feet. And for the outside waters, winds generally from a southerly direction, 35 to 40, with seas as high as 14 feet. For the south central region on Wednesday, for the Gulf region, winds generally from the west at 20 to 25, seas as high as 10 feet. And for Prince William Sound, winds generally from the northwest at 20, seas as high as 3 feet. And for the Cook Inlet region, winds variable in direction, 10 to 20, with seas as high as 6 feet in the Kamishak Bay region. For Thursday, south central Gulf region, winds generally from a easterly direction at 35 to 40, with seas as high as 10 feet, so look for gale force winds there. And for Prince William Sound, winds generally from the north at 20, seas as high as 4 feet. And for the Cook Inlet region, winds generally from the northeast at 20 to 45, with seas as high as 20 feet near the Kamishak Bay region. For Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island on Wednesday, for the area around Kodiak Island, winds generally from a southerly direction, 15 to 20, seas as high as 10 feet. And for the south side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds generally from the south at 25, seas as high as 14 feet. And for north side of the peninsula, winds generally from a variable direction, 20 to 25, with seas as high as 7 feet. For Thursday, winds around Kodiak Island, variable in direction, 20 to 40. So look for gale force winds then on Thursday at seas as high as 18 feet through the Shelkoff Strait region. Otherwise, south side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds generally from the northwest at 25, seas as high as 12 feet. And for the north side of the peninsula, winds generally from a variable direction, 20 to 25, with seas as high as 6 feet. For Loose and Chain, Wednesday, winds generally from a southwesterly direction, 15 to 25, with seas as high as 17 feet just south of Unalaska. And for Thursday, winds generally from a westerly direction up to 40, so look for gale force winds then. And that again from 25 to 40, with seas as high as 17 feet just south of Adak and Atka. For West Coast, winds generally from the East at 20 to 25 with seas as high as 9 feet around the Pribilofs. And for Thursday, West Coast, winds generally from the east at 25 to 30 with seas as high as 10 feet near the Pribs. And for the Arctic coast, looking for winds in the Beaufort Sea region, winds from the east at 30 to 35. Chukchi Sea region, winds from the east at 40 to 45. And down through the Bering Strait, 20 to 30 with seas as high as 7 feet in the open water areas. And for Thursday, Arctic coast region in the Beaufort Sea, winds generally from the east at 20 to 25. Chukchi Sea region, winds generally from the east at 35. And from the Bering Strait region, winds from the east at 30. For a wrap up of tonight's weather, again, looking for the main feature being a low pressure system just south of the eastern Aleutians, 981 millibar low there with an occluder front. Mixed precipitation out ahead of that system with some moderate to light rain south of the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, scattered snow and mixed precipitation through much of the Bering and into the southwest portion of the mainland. And strong winds blowing snow through the interior and out on the north slope. And a weakening low pressure system in the Gulf bringing some scattered rain and snow showers especially along the southern end of the Panhandle. For Wednesday, weakening system, that Aleutian low continues to climb near the Alaska Peninsula with a 978 millibar low now with mixed precipitation associated with that system.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.